About 300 miles north of Las Vegas lies the peaceful little western town of Ele Nevada, where the tallest building in town is the historic Hotel Nevada, 6 stories high. One of Ele's best-known attractions is the old ghost train, a turn-of-the-century steam locomotive in regular operation. And then there are the mines, a staple of local industry, the volunteer fire department, and a few other more infamous business establishments. Twice each year, Ele plays host to the most unusual event in all of motorsports. Imagine taking your high-performance car and running flat out on a public highway for 90 miles legally. Stay tuned for coverage of the Silver State Challenge Open Road Race. Hello and welcome everyone, I'm Bob Barcia along with Ted Jones. Welcome to a place where dreams are realized, the K&N Filters Silver State Classic Challenge. The idea is simple, take your bad ride, a street rod right up to a high-performance Ferrari, and you have the opportunity to take it out on a 2-lane paved highway in central Nevada. Just south of the town of Ele, our staging point is Lund, down Highway 318 to the finish at Hico. Normally a 90-mile flat-out run. This year, our format has been changed slightly due to new pavement on the roads. We'll talk about that in a moment. 16 classes of cars, 15 of them have target speeds the drivers will try to hit to the letter. First up, the 95-mile-an-hour class, and this is a beautiful 1997 Plymouth Prowler. The world's only factory-produced street rod. You can buy one of these hot little numbers right off the showroom floor at your Chrysler Plymouth dealer. This particular number in the hands of John Heyman from Onalaska, Texas, alongside young Jeff Golder is getting the ride of his life. Each driver is allowed to take one passenger along. Not every driver will do that. And the idea, as I mentioned, is to average your target speed, in this case 95 miles an hour. And considering there are some slow corners on this track, he's going to have to be very, very quick on the open stretches. Now let's talk a little bit more about those tighter corners. Earlier in the weekend, Ted Jones went out to have a look at the Narrows.
Mother Nature's beautiful sculpture. It looks over the portion of the course here at the Silver State Challenge called the Narrows, and in previous years' events, this was considered the most dangerous and trickiest part of the course to negotiate. You see, it's a series of S-turns, and they're very tight. When you have a car running nearly 200 miles per hour, and suddenly he's forced to slow down to less than 100 miles per hour to negotiate these very steep curves in the Narrows, he can have problems. The last time ESPN2 was here covering this event about 4 years ago, we actually saw a brand new Corvette total out here in the Narrows. But this year, they're not concerned as much about the Narrows as they are the pavement. You see, the state of Nevada has a different way of paving highways. They'll lay down pure asphalt or a tar compound on the road surface. Then they take stones like this and merely mash them in to the asphalt surface. Then it's mashed down. The end result is it can tend to be very slippery, kind of like marbles or ball bearings down on the surface. That's why they have decided to eliminate the freshest paved portion. That's about a 10-mile portion of this road course.
All right, thank you, Ted. That's right. We have a 10-mile section at controlled speed, so the drivers have that additional challenge, factoring in that controlled portion of the track along with the wide-open stretches. Here comes John Heyman and Jeff Golder in their Prowler. About 75 miles an hour through the S's and then well up over 100 miles an hour to try to hit their target speed of 95 miles per hour for the 90-mile run. You can tell just by looking at the pavement how much it has changed from previous years due to that new layer of tar and aggregate laid down. To the finish line comes John Heyman. His average speed, 97.037 miles an hour. Ted is there to meet him.
Well, how does the only American manufactured street rod handle on the open road?
Excellent. That was a ball. Yeah.
You had fun? You think you hit your target speed?
I think I was just a little bit lead-footed.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Too heavy, huh?
Too heavy.
Couldn't resist it.
I was hungry.
How did she do through the Narrows?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah, I was real happy.
All right, I think you had the only one entered here today.
I think so.
And a beautiful example it is. So John and Jeff are now on their way to the pit area and the awards banquet at the Showboat Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas later on. Now talk about the days of open road racing. A 1961 Chrysler 300R in the 110-mile-an-hour average speed category. Sean Dodge from Selah, Washington behind the wheel. The car owner is Dean Smith. Ted Jones took a closer look.
Bob, you know, we said they run about everything at this event. Can you believe a big showboat, a lead sled? How about a super heavy 1961 Chrysler 300? Now remember, these things were considered the terror of the road when they were released. They had 413 Mopar engines in them, like remember the little old lady from Pasadena, but this is not really a Chrysler 300. Let's get the inside story.
It started life as a Chrysler Windsor or New York or whatever you want to call it. And the 300G, which this should be, is easily recognized by a lot of 300 people. So we made this car look like a Chrysler 300G.
Why? Why did you do that?
Because they're lovely. They're just gorgeous cars. Gorgeous cars.
How fast do you think this car will go?
Well, in May of last year, I run the car at 137 miles an hour, and but that was only with about 3/4 of the carburetor. We have a little carburetor problem with it. The linkage wasn't working correctly, but next year we're going to run a little faster. This year is only 110.
And you're not going to do the driving. Why?
No, I've had enough fun. I'm going to let my nephew from Washington State, he's going to drive this time.
You're not worried when you take a car out on the road, especially with that loose stone they have out there on 318, that it could get damaged?
No, we're not worried about damage. The only thing I worry about is the windshield. That's a little hard to replace, but the rest of it is just fun battle damage.
Well, she doesn't have the 413 that the Chrysler 300s had in it, or the 361 that originally came in this car. Instead of that, the powerful and very dependable 440 Magnum Mopar for power, with a Predator carburetor, by the way. Done a little bit of internal engine modification, but she's basically the 440.
Ah, yes, battle damage. Obviously, Dean Smith is right in the spirit of one of the great road races in the world, the Silver State Classic Open Road Challenge. Through the Narrows they go at a relatively sedate 75 miles an hour or so before back up to top speed in excess of 110 and on to the finish. Sean Dodge averaged 110.280 miles an hour and finished 6th. 5 cars were closer to their proper average speed. Our ESPN Speed World coverage is brought to you by K&N Filters, the best for your engine and the environment. And by Stu Evans Motorsports. We race it, we sell it, we service it. We'll be back. Welcome back to the K&N Filters Silver State Classic Open Road Race. I'm Bob Barcia along with Ted Jones. We're in the heart of White Pine County, Nevada, bigger than the combined states of Connecticut, Delaware, and Rhode Island, and it is all beautiful. A number of volunteers on hand. After all, we have to close off every available access to Highway 318 to allow our drivers to hit top speed. This is professional tornado chaser Phil Henry from Henderson, Nevada, just south of Las Vegas. Jeff Bernard alongside, hoping to average 115 miles per hour. Coming up later, the unlimited speed category, featuring the real heavy metal machinery. Earlier, Ted Jones took a closer look at one of the stars of the category. Ted?
Hey, remember that name from the drag racing days? Lyle Larson. He used to run a blown alcohol dragster in NHRA competition. Now, you may not remember that name for that reason, but you might remember it if I tell you Billy Williams, who won the 1979 World Championship in NHRA, also wrenched at the same time for Jeb Allen a year later in Top Fuel. So he knows a lot about drag racing, and after all, let's face it, this K&N Silver State 100 is like a 90-mile-long drag race. Now, what would you build to go in the unlimited category? Well, somebody had to do it. Somebody had to take the famous Chrysler Corporation Viper and fix it up so it would run over 200 miles per hour, and that's exactly what Lyle has in mind with this car.
This car was a total loss. It was $42,000 damage. We'd wished to hope to find a coupe that was totaled, and oddly enough, we got one. We put a brand new complete frame underneath it, Claude Short Dodge. Took the project on, took the coach off, the roof rear quarter panels. Actually had to unglue it and put it on a brand new frame, and then build the car back up to what you see here.
But it still has the Chrysler V10, however, with some modifications.
Yes, it's basically a Claude Short package with Mopar performance parts that are available through the dealer. If you win and you want to buy this car, we can duplicate this car for anybody.
Tell us about some of the things you've done to the car that you have in it and what have you.
Basically, it has a performance camshaft. The bottom end is stock with 9.6 to 1 compression, runs on 92 octane gas, has a valve job that's a performance valve job. The fuel curve was designed by Claude Short Dodge. And that's basically it. It's basically a combination of a fuel curve with the correct camshaft and a computer, and the computer's really the heart to making it all work.
And some other things that's been done to the engine, like the lubricants?
Prolong, which we use in every one of our performance attempts. We also have K&N filters, obviously, K&N car.
And you have a 6-speed transmission. Now, that's stock from Chrysler.
6-speed transmission, but we're only going to use 5 gears for this attempt at 200.
Now, wait a minute. You mean you're not going to put it in 6th gear?
No. We've geared the car to run it in 5th gear.
That's incredible. What rear end ratio?
It's 273, but with our overdrive, it lowers it quite a bit in 5th even.
And you're hoping to average 200 miles per hour for the 90 miles.
That would be the ultimate goal. We're here actually to set the land speed record for an A production sports car.
To average 200, that means you have to go faster than 200 at some times because you have to come below 200 in some of the curves.
Absolutely. We have to run like 230 or 240.
Well, will the car do it?
On paper, it looks like it.
This car is actually owned by K&N Filters. When they had the V10 Viper engine redone, it came out at about 650 horsepower, and the builders of the motor told me the easiest horsepower gain was by using the K&N filters up front with the cold air induction or ram air box. That was worth about an additional 20 horsepower. Any Viper owner could do that very easily. Now, what might be a little bit more costly to get your Viper up to a 200 mile per hour plus car on the open road would cost you about $25,000. But hey, Bob, you could do that to your Viper if you had one.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Ted. Keep in mind the lap record here at the Silver State Open Road Race, 189 miles an hour plus an average speed, held by Kelly Sievers, who is in our unlimited category today. And that includes that section of the Narrows where you just saw Phil Henry and his partner traveling. Across the line they come. That mark will not be challenged today due to the controlled speed section that's been added. There are still some amazing speeds coming. Here's Ted Jones.
What happened to you? We expected you sooner. You let all these cars pass you?
That's a long story that we're not going to go into on a Sunday morning. We were at church and we got held up.
All right, we'll take that. You were shooting for what, 130?
115.
All right, you went over to about 125 at the finish line.
Oh, good, okay.
According to radar.
According to radar, good. We had a little higher reading here. I'll have to check the speedometer.
How did it handle on the course?
Very, very well. The road was just beautiful. I mean, we definitely erred on the side of safety, and of course that's what I would have wanted to do. The highway was as good as it's ever been as far as I was concerned.
Didn't go off chasing any tornadoes, did you?
We didn't see any, although we would have. This happens to be one of my tornado chase partners here. We'd have had that's definitely the definition of, what do you call it, anxiety or whatever, when you don't know what to do. It'd have been a tough call.
All right, we'll see you tonight.
Okay.
So Phil Henry and Jeff Bernard have realized their dream of an open road challenge for another year. We'll be back. The Ghost Train, a 1910 vintage steam engine that still makes regular trips throughout. Nearby Ele Nevada. Welcome back to the K&N Silver State Classic Open Road Challenge. I'm Bob Barsha. Here's an interesting story. Car number 30 is Todd McCormick from Mesa, Arizona, a veteran of this amazing road race. He and buddy Mike McKittrick are driving a bone stock 1990 Chevy Corvette in the 135 mile an hour average speed category, one of 16 speed categories in today's race. There are Todd and Mike coming up to top speed. These pictures coming from an airplane being flown by Todd's father, Jack, a veteran bush pilot. A twin-turbine, very quick airplane, and it needs to be. Years ago, we came here with a helicopter and had trouble keeping up with these amazing automobiles. There is the view from one of our trackside cameras. We should point out that the utmost concern is given to safety here at the Silver State Open Road Race. Our cameras are allowed no closer than 600 feet from the roadway. And of course, every possible access to the road is blocked off by volunteers who are in communication with one another thanks to a network of ham radio operators. Beautiful day for the run here on a cold, crisp Sunday morning in Nevada. Earlier, we talked with Todd McCormick about his previous years in this amazing race, how he got involved, and what he's looking for in the future.
This is our 4th year, and it's fun. It's a fun race, but
How did you first hear of it?
The paper that one of the papers, we saw it in the paper and heard about it and figured it'd be fun.
Came up and did it the first time you were hooked.
It's fun. Yeah, ran a car the first time.
Is this the highest class you've ever run in?
Yeah, keep working it up each year. Yeah.
Going faster.
Yeah, it's fun.
Fun indeed. Each of our cars, by the way, goes through a rigid inspection process, and all drivers are required to attend a refresher session in high-speed driving. If you fail tech or miss the driver seminars, you are not allowed to take part in this race. Through the Narrows and heavy on the throttle once again, Todd up to a speed in excess of 160 miles an hour or so in order to hit that 135 mile an hour target speed. And in the end, he hit the line at an average of 134.050 miles per hour. Good for third in the 135 mile an hour class, which was won by Keith Locklear at 134.927. The Unlimiteds are coming. We'll be back with more of the Silver State Challenge Open Road Race. Nevada is known as the Silver State for good reason. Billions of dollars in silver and other precious minerals were dug from the mountains around the town of Ely, home base for the K&N Filters Silver State Classic. Welcome back, everyone. I'm Bob Barsha. Early on race morning, officials gave the drivers, especially those in the unlimited speed category, careful instructions about challenges along the way. And when it came time for the Unlimiteds to roll out, this was the man everyone was watching. The small block Chevy on nitrous oxide injection, Kelly Sievers, holder of the race lap record at over 189 miles an hour in average speed. Earlier, Ted Jones took a look at the setup being used by the champion from Brookings, Oregon.
Well, here he is, the perennial favorite, Kelly Siever, in his infamous 1985 Chevrolet Corvette, running incidentally a small block. How has he done? Well, he's raced on Highway 318 15 times and won 7 of them. So we talked to Kelly and said, how do you do it?
Always challenging yourself. That's what it's really all about for me personally. It's coming out here trying to help out people, talk to them, but when it comes to strapping into that car, it's going as fast as I can because it's just challenging Kelly Sievers, and that's been fun over the years.
What's the fastest you've been in this car on this course?
The fastest average has been 189.6. The fastest top speed that we have calculated is right at 211, 212 miles an hour.
All right, now give us a prediction for this year's event.
You know, I used to do that, and every time I get the finish line, I think I just put it in the bag, and then when I get the numbers, they're not quite as good as I'd like to see, but I think that if we're able to run the race with these slicks and such, we'll do really well, and I just hope everybody really finishes and does a great job. As far as Kelly, my prediction, you know, I'll go faster than 70 miles an hour, and I'll do as best as I can.
Now, talking about slicks, that could be a problem. We have some stones on the course. That's new.
I think that if well, let's put it this way, if the granite or the stones are not solidified, in other words, if they're not well attached to the road, then I think I'm going to have a problem running these slicks. And, you know, survival is something that I think a lot of, and we may have to come another day. And but we're going to run the course in about another 30 minutes. We're going to go down there, we're going to run it, and we're actually going to pry away at the road, and we're going to take a real close look at it. And if we feel that we can do it and do it safely, then we're going to go for it.
The 2 plastic reservoirs you see on the dashboard beside the light, by the way, that's a red line or high RPM shift light that Kelly has on the dash, are full of brake fluid for one of them so he can monitor the brake system. The other one is hydraulic fluid. You see he's running a hydraulic clutch. They're at the highest point on the car that you might have hydraulic pressure. By the way, those tires he was talking about, slicks, those are kart Indy type tires. They work really great on a kart car. That's on a closed speedway course. On a highway with loose stone, well, that remains to be seen.
Well, Ted, as it happened, this is where Kelly Sievers' dream ended. In a crash shortly after leaving the starting line, Kelly took a close look at the road, chose to go with a treaded tire, and paid the price. There is Kelly Sievers being attended to by the medics in good physical condition after a very scary wreck. His immaculately prepared Corvette a total write-off, but fortunately, as I mentioned, Kelly was okay. There you see the telltale streaks where his car left the road. One of the first drivers to reach him was his competitor in the unlimited class, Lyle Larson.
Right rear tire let go, and he got in vibration. He said he couldn't get out quick enough. So
Did you say how fast he was going?
he was on nitrous at speed, on the speed trap. He was, I imagine it was close to it because he was getting ready to go into the start finish.
How was he?
Kelly's okay. He just needs to. He's in charge of himself. He promised them that he'd go to an ambulance in Las Vegas. I asked him to go to Ele, and he said, you know, I know what I'm talking about. I said, I trust you. But I made him promise that I'll stay in Vegas till I see him.
Moments later, the champion himself headed for the ambulance and offered his side of the story.
I blew a tire, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Blew a tire, and you know, at 215 miles an hour, I tried to control it, and at just one point in time, you just couldn't control it. And the next thing you know, you're going round and round, and I don't know why it caught on fire, but it did, and that's it.
Well, as a result of that frightening wreck, the nature of our unlimited race has changed. We'll be back to tell you about it. ESPN Speed World coverage of the Silver State Classic Open Road Challenge is being brought to you by K&N Filters, the best for your engine and the environment. And by RaceScan Communications. Welcome back to Nevada. As a result of a devastating accident suffered by defending champion Kelly Severs, who was not severely injured, officials have decided to make a change. For the first time in history, the unlimited speed category at the Silver State Classic will be decided by a 1-mile speed trap set up nearly 2 miles down the road to give the cars time to get up to ultimate top speed. And the fastest car through the trap will be the winner. And here he is from Alta Loma, California, Joe Pettit. Car owner Stan Davis alongside as navigator in a 1987 turbocharged Buick T-Type. Stan tells us more about this unusual car.
It was a family car. My mom bought it for me about 10 years ago.
Wait a minute, you're racing your mother's car.
Yeah, she left it to me in her will.
And it's going to end up trying to do 200 miles per hour, but it's not like when your mom had it, huh?
No, I've spent about 7 years changing just about every corner of it. There's probably nothing that's been left undone.
Well, it's not your average grocery getter, and this is what it's like as the camera shakes at a speed of over 200 miles per hour. Officially 205.1 miles an hour through the trap before Joe let up on the throttle and the car slowed to a stop. Winner of the 1998 Silver State Classic in the unlimited category. Our thanks to Joe Pettit and Stan Davis for allowing us on board for an amazing run through the traps. And congratulations to all of our winners in the unlimited category, as we mentioned, Joe Pettit. And here are the other 15 category winners. Congratulations to them all, champions of the Silver State Classic Open Road Race for 1998. Accommodations for our ESPN crew come courtesy of the Showboat Hotel, Casino, and Bowling Center in Las Vegas. If your dreams come flat out and you'd like to be a part of the 1999 Silver State Classic, call the number on your screen. I'm Bob Varsha for Ted Jones. Thanks for being with us. So long, everyone.